I love being able to pause emulators. It makes recording so much easier. And yes, indeed, we could camp in the caves, as long as we don't start living here. Strange people live in caves. Kind of people that talk to moss and drink their own urine. I think that hygiene is some poor old deer who keeps getting stuck up trees. And that's how she ended up here. Excellent. Jean says that a lot too. Anyhow, where are you heading? Not a Dagon. Definitely not a Dagon. Just saying. Don't even suspect that we are. Literally in the name. Oops, I forgot. You're lost, aren't you? Totally lost. That's all it is. Nothing else is going on, nothing suspicious. Why would you even say that? Tomorrow, once we get to town, I'm sure we'll be able to find someone who knows you. I'm sure they're not a Dagon either. Again, somewhere in the distance, Annie is murdering sand people. I'm watching you, Moon. Don't trust you for a second, don't think that I do. I remember. I always remember. In fact, with this setup, I could actually finally get around to doing that replay of Majora's Mask. I've been promising for, what, 4 years now? Probably won't, but you never know. Perhaps you'll get lucky. Don't open that trap door. That's some very strong candles you've got in there, son. Even out of one of those torches with the power of 1,000 candles. The people kept advertising in the 90s like that was a thing. That's how people thought, apparently, in the 90s, in terms of candles. Isn't trust the moon either. So, the time hath come. Yes, my lord, majesty. 'Twould appear that something is amiss. Where are the courtiers, the priests? Why is there not a single voice raised in greeting at their return? 'Tis not of import. They are mortals. Were we to attempt to understand their minds, we should spend an eternity. There be more pressing matters to attend to. Canst thou not sense it, this presence? 'Tis far and still slumbering, but 'tis what we have sought, lo, these many ages. One qua, guard our place of rest, as you wish, sire. This is going to be fun on my front, I can already tell. Majesty, whither art thou going? To Asda. We shall go to our capital, as was planned. We shall meet at the appointed place when the time hath come. Now, let's see if I remember how to do this. There's a hidden goodie around here somewhere. I can't remember entirely if there's a point to grabbing it as Faolu. This is Faolu, by the way. God Emperor of the universe, basically. And also the protagonist we saw in the lovely animated intro cinematic. You plays him several times, if I recall correctly, throughout the game, and he has a separate inventory pocket to everyone else. So it's worth grabbing any items you see as him, because I don't think they stay on the map if you don't grab them as him, I think. If anyone recalls differently, please feel free to tell me. But as far as I can remember, you pretty much have to get them as him or else they just disappear. Directions. Which direction was the thing? Right, this is an instance where turning the camera would actually help. There we go. So I can carefully move my way up this ramp that doesn't appear like a ramp at the first second. Lazy fuck. Just teleporting. Dear. Yeah, Faolu fights some bigger guys. Much bigger than what we've been fighting. And does a lot bigger numbers in terms of damage, too. This serves many functions. Having you actually play as the antagonist is an interesting approach. FF7 did the same thing, technically, for a little bit at least anyway. Although he didn't actually get to control Sephiroth. I think he just auto-played, didn't he? I think that was right. Yeah, you also get to experience what you're going to be like much later in the game when you've got 4-digit health numbers and are doing 4 digits worth of damage per swing. And a basic swing at that. You'll also preview another mechanic of the game that we'll get to play around with a little bit later. Ow! I was bitten by a dinosaur. That's just not on, really. Yeah, we actually wield a lightsaber as our weapon. I forgot about that. All in good fun. You see the insane amounts of XP you're going to have to earn to level up once you get to the higher levels too. Considering you're getting like 5 XP at enemy at the moment, it's impressive. Who goes there? What be ye doing in this place? Good question as any, I guess. Fair play. Oh, who are you? They say a dragon or something's supposed to appear here tonight. So we are told to watch this area. A dragon? That's right, not just any dragon either. They say it's the legendary dragon of doom, which will bring ruin to the Empire. And what be thy design for this dragon? Or Dagon, to give it its proper pronunciation. We'll destroy it, of course. Nothing can withstand the might of the Imperial Army. Thou believest thou can do such a thing? Thou art but mere mortals. Watch out! He's got a glowy thing! Stab. And then the game ends. Yeah, luckily these guys play by anime rules, so they don't attack the guy, obviously casting some sort of spell, right in front of them at spear point. They allow him to summon a swirly thing. All hands on deck, swirly thing alert! The sky just shat a dragon. That's probably not a good thing, right? And this is the one we saw in the intro. In fact, the intro cinematic is probably about this dragon, come to think of it. So it's not really a spoiler since it appears like 20 minutes into the game. Thou dost not ken the power of that which you would destroy. This be a dagon. A dagon, 'tis a force of nature unto itself. Thou mayst well seek to fight a volcano, or the very earth itself. Dagons doth give birth to thy kind. Grant thee life, and verily taketh it away. They are to thee as thou art to an insect. In thy terms. Oh, it's got a headache. Oh, it's got back flaps. That's unfortunate. They can fly without them, so what's the point of the wings? I'm not entirely certain. They art gods. Wouldst thou fight a god? This is an anime game, technically, so at some point... Just not these guys. These guys aren't protagonists. They got their faces covered. Well, that's unfortunate. And then they all died. True story. True story. Yeah. Poor old Not a Dagons just had a bad dream. I'm sure that's all it was. Bad Dagon. "'Tis as I thought. It is not the nature of mortals to change their ways." Well, that was unfortunate for all concerned. I forgot Faolu even gets his own little tiny sprite on the map. That's adorable. Actually, I want to see what's the other way real quick. Oh my fucking god, fucking dinosaurs, oh my god, what the fuck? And my screen keeps trying to fade. You guys can't see that. I need to figure out how to change that. Shouldn't even be difficult, I just probably just setting I forgot to turn off. Screensaver keeps trying to kick in. I keep leaning forward and smacking the trackpad to make it stop. Anything? No, nothing at all around here, apart from a little flower field. As we tip. Ow! I got bit by a flower, even though that's hay fever damage. As we tiptoe through the tulips. Fighting giant dinosaurs, as you do. But yeah, I think if I actually end up continuing this, I'll probably chop out the random battles, because they don't really add much. Once you've seen one example of an enemy, you've seen it all, to be quite frank. I'll do what I did with FF9, where I gave you guys like one example of each enemy type, and then just left the rest. Makes more sense. Nothing over there either. A lot of strangely empty paths. I don't recall that being a thing, but apparently it is. Counter for 88 damage. Good job. Ow! Okay, fine. My fault for mocking you, I guess. A great victory indeed. New pair of lizardskin boots is on me. I gotta stop leaning too close to the computer. I'm doing this as well, because the computer's fans are going absolutely nuts, and since I can't get Audacity to work properly on Linux, I'm not going to be able to scrub this of hissing noise if I get too close and that gets picked up on the microphone. Which almost indefinitely will. Took me bloody ages to figure out how to get Linux to properly access the MacBook's fan. It was running it at like 2000 RPM just constantly, regardless of what the requirements of heat control were. And yeah, thankfully there's a package you can install, MBP Fan Service, which allows you to actually have Linux properly control the fan speed and use the max if needs be to cool the CPU and whatnot. Pardon my presumption and my nose. It's a very, very old clown we're talking to, just so you're aware. But I believe you are the God Emperor Faulu. Yes? Are you okay? You sound and indeed look incredibly constipated. Is that why you're crouched down? I have been expecting you ever since I saw flames rising from the woods where I placed my soldiers on watch. I think he really is constipated. Thou sayest thou wert waiting for us. Thou knowest of us, and what we are, then? Yes, your majesty. You are the first emperor, Faulu, who founded our great Fau empire. Yeah, I got blade beams, now what? Knowing that thou would greet us with malice in thine heart, and thy blade in thy hand. That's not my blade. Oh. I'm afraid times have changed, your majesty. Come and suck my fireball. I want to incinerate you, rate you. Yeah. This is our first boss fight. This is basically a controlled boss fight, a can't lose kind of a situation. Quite deliberately done, so we can get the idea of what boss fights are going to be like in the actual game without the real danger of actually dying. It's interesting again to put this tutorial boss fight in a section where you're also not controlling your own character. In some ways it does give some slightly unrealistic expectations, but whatever, it builds the anticipation. And as the game has been prompting, let's actually transform here. Because this is an ability we're also going to get much later on in our actual character's playthrough. Magical girl, Faulu! Yeah, that's right. Oh my god, why is he a strangely buff dragon? Why not? Didn't do shit, son. My turn. Oh, so much magic. Sadly, the one spell that sounds really fun, level whatever it is, death, I don't think actually works on this boss, disappointingly. I think that'd be a great Easter egg if Faolu happened to have a spell that would just one-shot the boss. That'd be fun. But then again, the frost magic we're using here, that does such ridiculous damage, this is going to be over in like 2 strikes. So, whatever, right? I think actually a slight element of randomization. I think it's possible to get a much longer fight as well. And there you go. New message, we routed the enemy. Oh my. Yeah. So, Fire Demon didn't work. What's your next plan, Squire? Tell the Dragon God you've got angina and hope he has mercy? You appear tired, Majesty. It is to be expected, I suppose. You have just awoken from a long, long sleep. You were not exactly complete, are you? 'Twould appear thou does not mean to fulfill thine duty, as thou art called upon to do by our promise. Alas, it is as you say, my lord. For now, we would have you sleep once more. I would call thee foolish, but thou art mortal. Thou cannot go against thy nature. No more than a fish could walketh upon the firmament. Anime hops, bitch. Now what? Still, thou wilt find that our promises are not easily broken. Return then to thy master, and tell him our words. And he glides backwards. Faolu is not my emperor. I've got my gods, and I shall set fire to all the woods. I shall burn up the dragon god. Something about incontinence. I don't know where I was going with that. That is indeed the plan. Set fire to the woods. Because again, this is drawing on more of the Eastern mythos around dragons, so they're not just fire-based creatures. They are elemental, and that means all possible elements. Faolu himself, I think, is supposed to be ice or water-based. Indeed, they have planned well. And so, Pokemon rules apply. He is weak to fire. Which doesn't really make sense. I think they explicitly say he's water-based, not ice, and yet he's weak to fire. It would make more sense if they said he had an affinity for the cold or ice or whatever, but whatever. Mine is not to question, mine is to mindlessly adventure. Just casually pimp strut across this bridge. I'm sure enough to go, oh. How did you get ahead of me, actually? That's a... As I recall... Oh, God. This is a story about the war. Your Majesty has a strong affinity to water. Yes. And with thy powers not fully returned, it is unlikely you'll be able to survive battle with my creations in this raging inferno. Well, perhaps we can negotiate. We would know thy name, O cunning one. Yom, General of the Faolu Imperial Army, at your service. And that happened. Faolu is now dead. Game over. Antagonist defeated. I don't want to take any chances. Find the body. Phew! We managed to make it back up, didn't we? That was such an intense and awe-inspiring climb that we did off-screen. Just a little ways more to the town. And now we control Nina for a bit. We can actually swap. I think it's L1, R1. Let's swap characters, something like that. And that's actually where I'm going to hold up. If you would like to see more, you know where to tell me. In the meanwhile, I'm going to set up camp, and myself, Nina and Not a Dagon, will see you later.